Hello, everyone. Thank you for staying around for the end of the 200th day of CES. So today we're talking a bit about 5G and how it's going to impact retail. I'd like to ask my guests to introduce themselves. To start.
Hi, good afternoon. Justin Blair. I lead our wireless business products at Verizon. And specifically, that includes developing products around 5G.
And I'm Amelia Powell, and I work in product marketing with Justin.
Awesome. So for the benefit of people in the audience who may not know what 5G is, could you please summarize quickly what it is?
Sure. And I think there's a lot of things you can think about 5G from a definition perspective, but the two key things are really high speeds and really low latency. So high speeds, gigabit speeds, we think of that more in a sustainable fashion versus you can get peak speeds today in gigabit on LTE, and then millisecond latency, down to less than 10 milliseconds, maybe less than 5 milliseconds, right? End to end.
But in this case, when we have 4G phones, we think of 4G as phones. 5G is not just phones, right?
Correct. 5G will be much more than just smartphones. It'll be fixed wireless access, and I think even new experiences that you might use your smartphone to unlock it, but you might be wearing a augmented reality headset or some kind of virtual reality headset to really kind of get the full experience.
It's really interesting. I think as 5G becomes more pervasive throughout our society, you'll find more and more devices are connecting to each other and talking to each other and kind of creating these efficiencies in our lives and as consumers, as well as for businesses as you get out into the marketplace. Ultimately, when it comes right down to it, 5G is the tool that we're bringing to the table for all you smart people to innovate against.
So in other words, it could compete with things like cable, broadband, or even some commercial solutions like MSPs.
Absolutely, and I think in the retail space, I think this is one of the areas where that is really interesting because yes, you can get fiber or circuits and probably at the same cost that we're going to offer 5G today, but 5G might help you spin up a retail environment much faster. Or maybe temporarily, where you can move it, at your disposal, and take that investment in infrastructure and in solutions, and just move it somewhere else. It still has 5G coverage. So I think it opens up these new ways of thinking about your retail infrastructure and not being tied to a wired circuit.
Right. Think about new, innovative ways that we do business as retailers. Out in the field, you see these pop-up shops that come up around the holidays, and all of a sudden this, little brick and mortar space pops up that wasn't there before, and you can buy beautiful handbags where, before there was nothing but nothing. Now you have the capability of bringing a point of sale system in places and in ways where it would formerly be really difficult. Think about the applications in food trucks, or if you want to consider the way that we do business in retail, you have a better opportunity to really follow the products from the inception when they're manufactured all the way through the ecosystem to make sure that there's a really good opportunity to keep your customers involved and interested in their products as they come to market. And then after they go out into the field, you can even embed them with information that will keep them engaged with you as a retailer.
So give me an example. I'm a consumer. I walk into a retail store that I like to shop at. But this store now has a 5G connection. What's going to be different for me?
For the first part, maybe nothing to begin with, right? Maybe it's seamless to the consumer. But one of the things that, and we're looking forward to being at NRF in the next week. One of the things that we're thinking about and that we've been sort of prototyping or demoing is an environment where you can walk in as a consumer with a smartphone on a 5G network, and using augmented reality, be able to really kind of interact with the products in the store. And so if you think about walking into a grocery supermarket and walking down an aisle and saying, I need to find gluten-free products. And which of these products in the normal cereal aisle are gluten-free? And if I had a phone and I just walk in and I could kind of see what's going on, it could identify those things for me. So that's an experience that we can offer to consumers. You could try to do that today. Yeah. There's ways to do that, but it's slow and it's not. It's not. You can't do it as immersively. 5G will open that up.
Yeah, I mean, it's interesting when you think about the way people shop is really different from the way it was a few years ago. Omnichannel marketing becomes really important. When you start thinking about retail, you have to make sure that there is a really solid connection between your online presence and what is in your brick and mortar locations. You have to make sure that your inventory is all connected so that you know exactly what you can sell where, when, and how. And if you think about the consumers, knowledge is power. They are more interested than ever before in understanding the nuance of their products. You could even get down to connecting them with what the reviews look like, knowing that that's how people shop. Through 5G, you have a better opportunity to leverage the data that's already out there in the universe, and you can bring it right to your consumers at the point of sale, and even leverage things like video in ways that are creative and new.
Absolutely.
So, in other words, 5G could help make shopping more experiential?
Oh,
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I think what you'll find too is that, I've always said, voice has been the killer app for mobile for a while, right? We've always said, what's the killer app? I think on 4G, we've seen that killer app become video from a consumption model. Like everyone's wanting to watch YouTube or upload videos and things like that. Video on 5G will unlock just new use cases. So inventory management. I can do inventory management in real time with video because of the latency that I have, as well in the computer vision type of technology that's coming around. And I can do that in a wireless fashion where all I have to do is install HD cameras throughout a store. And because I have computer vision capabilities and something that we call multi-access edge computing or mobile edge computing, we will bring in compute and storage locally, or at least as close as possible. You can now do that type of inventory in real time and know, on these pegs, what products are there. Has someone moved that product that I'm looking for? I know it's in the store somewhere, but where is it, right? So those are the kind of things that we can be able to do.
And in today's world of fast fashion and things like that, that's where it's going to be a game changer out in the real world.
So what are retailers hoping to get out of this? Is it better sales? Is it consumers spending more time in stores or even coming into the stores as opposed to ordering online? Is it greater customer loyalty? Is it more data about the shopping experience?
I can answer that. Yes.
I shouldn't give you questions like that.
I mean, I think that it's really important to think about 5G as a tool. It's basically unleashing your potential as retailers to use the technology that exists in the world and really innovate against it. That is basically the reason that Hans put forth this challenge to get people to start innovating against 5G. The 5G challenge is out there on the table, and you could get up to $1 million in seed money to make these ideas come to life. There is so much technology out there that is evolving faster than it ever has in the history of the world. I mean, if you think about it, like we commonly talk about the fourth industrial revolution around Basking Ridge. It really is. In the beginning, it was all about efficiencies and making sure that you could get those assembly lines faster. And then all of a sudden, we found ways to connect our machines and make them able to leverage the digital environment. Then we got to the point where we could really get into smartphones and think about information. And now, with the fourth industrial revolution, we have this unique opportunity to take consumers and their needs and put them central in the middle of our business and make sure that we have the opportunity to really connect with them, anticipate their needs, and react to them in real time.
And I think the ubiquitous connectivity really drives that. I mean, we're talking about what could you do, sort of brick and mortar, what's the consumer experience, but just think about, the consumer's experience not just in a store, but as they're traveling throughout the day, and just the different types of experiences that you can now offer because you have a 5G smartphone, coupled with 5G access in a store with these other ancillary solutions on top of that.
So you mentioned the 5G challenge. Could you talk a little more about that?
So Hans, during the keynote speech yesterday, kind of put out the 5G challenge. We have some innovation centers that are set up around the country, and we want to encourage our customers to go ahead and take this new ability to innovate with 5G to the next level. So we invite people to take their ideas, submit them, and you can win up to $1 million and the opportunity to innovate with the 5G lab experts who will help you take your ideas and bring them to life.
So I know you guys, in the fall, you started to roll out 5G to homes in, I think, 4 cities, was it?
4 cities, yeah.
Yes. But still, that's a first step in a long process. Could you sort of give me a timeline? Where are we now? Where will we be in a few years? And what needs to happen in between?
Sure. Obviously, we can't share too much right now.
Oh, come on. Well,
we did launch our 5G home product in the September timeframe. First installs in October, and that was obviously a huge thing for us. First to 5G, we consider that product ultra wideband. That's a term that we use, ultra wideband. And really what that means is it's not just high speeds and low latency, but we're using this millimeter wave spectrum, which has these enormous bandwidth that allows you to get to that higher speed. So that's really key for us. And in those 4 markets, we've been very pleased with the performance that we've been able to see. We're working on identifying business customers to come and enjoy 5G as well in those markets, because it's really about collaboration. And so we've got 5G labs where you can come innovate with us. If you're in 5G coverage, you can come innovate there as well. And then this year is going to be all about 5G. I can't share places or when.
Oh, come on.
But I can definitely tell you that
It's
you'll
absolutely
hear
a
lot more
focus
from
of
us.
attention at Verizon, and we're looking forward to bringing it to market. I mean, there's so much exciting stuff happening out in the field with it that we're as excited as you are about it.
Well, that's awesome. How are we doing on time? 1 minute. Okay. Does someone want to ask a question of our panel over here? Do not see anyone leaping forward. Oh, you might win $1 million.
Which verticals of retail do you think will be most impacted?
Did everyone hear that? Which verticals of retail will be most impacted?
That's hard to say because there's a lot of different ways that people are innovating against 5G. There's a lot of work being done in industry. There's also a tremendous amount of work that's being done in smart cities and different ways that that could impact retail. It's hard to say. It's kind of a race right now. So, I personally can see lots of application in traditional retail, but it might just be because I like to shop a lot.
Yeah. Well, thank you very much.
Great. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.